Yeah, so I'm finding these articles here on Pocket, and some of these, they make me, they're kind of funny to me, So I'm just sharing them with you guys. I'm sharing these articles that I read, and sometimes they provide me a little bit of comedy. Sometimes, occasionally a little bit of information. But I digress. Here we go. So this article is by Time. Inside Google's plans to combat misinformation ahead of the EU elections. Okay, so this is supposed to be a 6-minute read. Here we go. Can we... and this article is written by Yasmin Serhan. I don't know if on X. April 25th, 2024. Here we go. Well, we are all at risk of manipulation online right now. So, your feeble brain can differentiate between reality and fiction. You guys need to be told what is right, what is real, and what is not. Especially with AI now. I gotta tell you what's real and what isn't. So we are all at risk of manipulation online right now. So begins a short animated video about a practice known as
decontextualization.
And how it can be used to misinform people online. So these are big words. I'm dumb to read this. The video identifies signs to watch out for, including surprising and/or out of the ordinary content, seemingly unreliable sources, or video or audio that appear to have been manipulated or repurposed. Okay, so there's been a rise in AI redone videos. It doesn't mean they're being disingenuous. A lot of them are being recreated, and I hope Yasmin Sharon or Serhan is more detailed in their examples of about these misinformation videos. But yeah, sure, of course. Though it may not look like it, this 50-second video is actually an election ad. One of three that Google will be rolling out across 5 European countries next month in advance of European Union's June parliamentary elections. So Google does get to, use their ads to, push their agenda. But unlike traditional election ads that are designed to persuade people about how to vote, it's not to persuade people how to vote at all, guys. These are seeking to educate voters about how they could be misled. Let me educate you because you're too dumb to know better, okay? You don't know any better. Children. It's an initiative that Google describes as preventative debunking. So, it's like we gotta reteach people how to think, we gotta reteach them how to think. Or more simply, pre-bunking. So, you gotta, before you even question anything, we're gonna make sure you don't question, put that in your head. It works like a vaccine. Beth Goldberg? Who's Beth Goldberg? Beth Goldberg, the head of research at Google's internal jigsaw unit. Oh, that sounds like a jigsaw unit. That I don't want to mess with them. Which was founded in 2010 with a remit to address threats. Remit? You guys correct me, please. To address threats to open societies, tells Time. By enabling prospective voters to recognize common manipulation techniques, such as like the ones you're using on me right now, that could be used to mislead them, such as scapegoating or polarization. I am definitely, I have a personality, guys. Of course I do. Goldberg says, that pre-bunking helps people to gain mental defenses proactively. So, here's how it works, guys. Once you just put in like a block in your head that you're just not gonna listen to the other guy's, the other guy's perspective or point of view, that's just, you would just never question what you've been taught. This is what Miss or Goldberg wants. Okay, we're going to leave that alone. Concerns about AI-generated disinformation and the impacts it stands to have on contests they literally saying that contest around the world continues to dominate this year's election mega cycle. This is particularly true in the EU, which recently passed a new law compelling tech firms to increase their efforts to clamp down on disinformation amid concerns that an uptick in Russian propaganda, so it must be the Russians, giving you propaganda again, god darn Putin, it could distort the results. Contrary to what one might expect, jeez. Pardon me, guys. Pre-bunking ads aren't overly political. they just threw in Russian propaganda, but they're saying that they're not being political at all. They just talked about Russian propaganda, but we're not being political, guys. Nor do they make any allusions to any specific candidates or parties. They just did in the video about decontextualization. Jeez. For example, viewers are shown a hypothetical scenario in which an AI-generated video of a lion set loose on a town square is used to stoke fear and panic, kind of just like how they do. In another video, this time about scapegoating, they are shown an incident in which a community lays sole blame on another group, just like they do, yeah. In this case, tourists, for the litter in their parks without exploring other possible causes. Okay, whoa. Okay, the beauty of this approach, Goldberg notes, is that it needn't be specific. It doesn't have to be actual misinformation. So it doesn't even have to be misinformation at all. You can just show someone how the manipulation works. She says, it's a she, noting that keeping the content general and focusing on manipulation strategies rather than the misinformation itself allows these campaigns to reach people regardless of their political persuasion. Do you know what he's saying? Do you know what she's saying right here? Like, I hope you guys can figure out what she's trying to say. Leave in the comments below. I can only go so far. While Google's pre-bunking campaign is relatively new, let me reread this. The beauty of this approach, Goldberg notes, is that it needn't be specific. It doesn't have to be actual misinformation. You can just show someone how the manipulation works. So they're just teaching you how to see certain things, how to catch certain little phrases, and immediately you judge it and just put a label on it. This is essentially what she's saying. She says, noting that keeping the content general and focusing on the manipulation strategies. She is focusing on manipulation strategies rather than the misinformation itself. So it doesn't matter if it's true or not. Just make sure that everyone believes that it's true. Allows these campaigns to reach people regardless of their political persuasion. Comedy. While Google's pre-bunking campaign is relatively new, the tactic is not. Indeed, the concept dates back to the 1960s, when social psychologist William McGuire sought to understand people's susceptibility to propaganda during the Cold War and whether they could defend against it. Does this ring a bell to you guys? I know some of you guys it will. This culminated in what McGuire called inoculation theory, which rested on the premise that false narratives like viruses can be contagious and that by inoculating people with a dose of facts, they can become less susceptible. But it wasn't, this sounds like this is what they're trying to do to you guys right now, but it wasn't until decades later that the theory began being applied to online information. In recent years, Jigsaw has conducted pre-bunking initiatives in Eastern Europe and Indonesia. Its forthcoming European campaign, which formally kicks off in May, will primarily be disseminated as short ads on YouTube and Meta platforms. I've already seen them, guys. This is kind of like, late news. I'm sorry, guys. Targeting voters in Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, and Poland. Afterwards, viewers will be invited to take a short, multiple-choice survey testing their ability to identify the manipulation technique featured in the ad. So, like I said, it's reteaching, relearning. Whereas pre-bunking doesn't necessarily face as much resistance as more conventional forms of combating misinformation such as fact-checking or content moderation, which some critics have likened to censorship. It is. Anytime you mess with what can be said and what can't be said, that's a form of censorship, guys. Come on. It isn't a panacea either. Panacea Panacea? Anyway, John Rosenbeek, an assistant professor in psychology and security at King's College London, who has spent years working with Jigsaw on pre-bunking, tells Time that one of the biggest challenges in these campaigns is ensuring that the videos are captivating enough to hold the viewer's attention. Even if they do, he adds, you can't really expect miracles in a sense of that. All of a sudden, after one of these videos, people begin to behave completely different online, he says. Because now they're scared. You've threatened them. It's just way too much to expect It's just way too much to expect from a psychological intervention that it is as light touch as this. This isn't to say that pre-bunking doesn't have an impact. In previous campaigns, post-ad surveys show that the share of individuals who could correctly identify manipulation technique increased by as much as 5% after viewing a pre-bunking video. Ooh, guys, big numbers here. We're not just doubtful that the effect is real, it's just that you can argue over time whether it's large enough. Rosenbeek says that is the main discussion that we are having. Okay, so while Jigsaw has led the way on pre-bunking efforts, they're not the only ones utilizing this approach. Here we go, guys. In the U.S., the Biden administration has sought to counter Russian disinformation. It's the Russian guys, in part of declassifying intelligent forecasting, the kinds of narratives that it anticipated the Kremlin would use, particularly in the run-up to Moscow's 2022 full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This practice has since extended to China, where the U.S. government used declassified materials to forecast potential Chinese provocations in the Taiwan Strait. This is what's being claimed, guys. And Iran. The U.S. declassified intelligence claiming that Tehran had transferred drones and cruise missiles to the Houthi militias in Yemen that were being used to attack ships in the Red Sea. Oh, pardon my English. What the White House has billed as strategic declassification is just pre-bunking by another name. So here are the many strategies that they are using to, reteach you guys. Working with academics and civil society organizations across the EU's 27 member states. Jigsaw's latest pre-bunking campaign is, so that is, okay, guys, so it kind of sounds like they're, I already kind of said what I needed to say, but so here is this, let's see, can we, we usually do, guys, is we usually like to click on the person here. All right, guys, well, that is the read for today. Yeah, goodbye.